Welcome to Tales of the Gate. I'm Mary. I am the founder and teacher here at Earth and Star Spiritual Wellness Center, and I just thought, let's talk about gatekeeping. I have a comment on one of my videos where somebody wanted me to get a little bit deeper into initiation and what initiation means and how it plays out in our lives. And to understand our initiation, we also have to understand the gatekeeper. There's a gatekeeper for every aspect of our lives. There are gatekeeping guides that we have when we travel between worlds, between realms. When we travel to the place of the past or to the lower realms or the places of the future or the upper realms, there are always gatekeepers. There are always angels or guides that bring us from one dimensional vibration to another. And these help us explore these realms. So understanding what a gatekeeper is to you and in your life also helps you understand how you move from one transitional space to another, not just in those energetic spiritual realms, but here in this physical realm. We move from one person to another within ourselves. We become different people over and over again throughout entire lives. We become different vibrations and different frequencies. We become more and more and more who we incarnated to become, which is our purpose. And the gatekeeper between each transition lies somewhere in the subconscious mind. So sometimes our gatekeeper can be our own ego. It could be fear. It could be the thing holding us back from taking the next step. Sometimes the gatekeeper is simply a lack of knowledge or wisdom. And so time becomes a bit of a gatekeeper until we have more experiences. But understanding that there are gatekeepers, how we can meet these gatekeepers might be important towards your next initiation. So, what is an initiation? We'll come back to the gatekeeper thing. So, somebody else left a comment on one of my videos that I needed a whiteboard so that you know I'm listening. And actually, I normally have my notes laid out anyways if I decide to take notes before a video, so I just put my notes on the whiteboard. And I'm going to add gatekeeping to it so we remember to come back to it. Keeping the gate. Gatekeeping. What is initiation? What initiates us from one vibration to another, from one part of our lives to the next? Initiation simply marks the beginning of who you are becoming. Now, it's the thing that marks the beginning of my becoming. The thing that's changing my vibration, whereas my awakening is simply my awareness that things are changing. When you awaken to something, you are becoming disillusioned to that thing. You are understanding that things are changing, that things are different, that it's a mind thing, it's an awareness of the change, whereas the initiation is the physical change itself, the actual thing that you're going through. And there are three things that mark an initiation. Okay, so we know that this is the beginning of our becoming, that we're changing our frequency, we're coming into a different path in our life, we're becoming a different purpose, and that's marked by these three things. First, the presentation of a test. So, I generally don't like the word test, because I think it's overused, especially in the spiritual and religious realms. People are like, oh, God's just testing me. But knowing the way that I believe in God and the devil and things like that, what that means is I'm testing myself. And why would I test myself unless I doubted myself? Testing yourself, creating a thing in the universe that tests us, because Our mind controls everything that happens and everything that we perceive. So if I am creating an instance in my life where I am being tested about some element of myself, whether it be my faith, my trust in myself, my self-trust, anything like that, any single test that I am presenting to myself, seemingly from outside sources, is because I have started to learn something, but I'm not sure if I fully trust myself to follow through with it. So a lot of the time when we're presented with these tests, we are testing our strength, our endurance, our self-trust, our self-love. We are overcoming fears. If we have a fear of failure, then we might be tested with something that we have to create in a sustainable way. If we are having issues with love or self-love, we might be presented with relationships over and over again that we have to figure out how to navigate through. And we might start noticing the patterns in each of these people, how we're kind of dating the same personality over and over again because it's something in us that we haven't quite unlocked and learned to love about ourselves. Now, a test is going to seem very similar to general learning experiences. In one of my last videos, we talked a little bit about teachers and how everyone we meet can be a teacher, because a teacher is somebody who simply challenges all of our belief systems in order for us to grow and expand and never stay the same. Always be growing, always be moving, always be flowing. So when we're presented with a test, usually this comes from a teacher. Teachers give us tests, and once we pass that test, we get to move on to the next level of learning, or the next grade level, the next something. We get to take our end of year exams and move on from first grade to second grade. A test is provided to us from a teacher. So anything that we're going through that's a rough time, that we're struggling with, or that we just know is for our growth or our expansion or teaching us patience, these can be tests. But knowing whether it's an initiation or simply another part of our learning and our growth, you can tell by the presentation of the next two levels. Because we're always being presented with teachers. We are always growing and moving and learning. But did that test push you into a decision of worth? An initiation will push you into a decision of worth. This is the marked difference between someone who is actively on their spiritual path and someone who is not. Even spiritual people who think they are on the spiritual path and have been walking the spiritual path for a long time can get stuck at this level. Nobody is special here, okay? We are all presented with tests. We're all presented with teachers. We're all continually expanding. But a lot of people get stuck here where they are the victim of something, where bad things just keep happening and they can't tell how to get out of this cycle. They're tired of being angry, they're tired of being upset. It's this stuck in a cycle, victim mentality, everything is happening to me and I don't know what else to do. Well, baby, decide you're worth freaking fighting for. A decision of worth will get you outside of that cycle and move you into the next step. This is worth fighting for. I am worth fighting for. There's something more here that's worth fighting for. The active decision to move forward. We all get in these ruts where things are happening and we're like, what is going on? But it's the decision, the knowing that there's something more here. And this doesn't mean you have to be fully confident and in full self-love before you can move on to the next step. It's the thing that pushes you into saying there's something more. There's something more here. There's something else. And I don't have to live this way. I'm worth more than this. My life can be different. It is the worth, your decision of worth. I am worth fighting for. This life is worth fighting for. And that is the second stage in your initiation. And then we come to your claiming of power. Through this decision of worth, this is the action space. I know it says decision of worth, but once you make a decision, that creates a vibration that leads us into action. And then we come into a space where we're able to claim our power. So this, a lot of the time, is the end goal of a rite of passage. An initiation is a spiritual rite of passage. In other cultures, when young men reach a certain age, they usually go through some sort of rite of passage to prove they're passing from childhood to manhood. We do this on the spiritual level through initiations. Now, there's a lot here to this. There are a lot of cultures where women do not have to go through the rite of passage. Only men do. And I believe the reason for this is that women kind of are always going through the rite of passage. When a young girl reaches womanhood, not legally of age, but her womanhood within her physical body, she starts her cycle. Her body naturally begins to bloom and blossom, and she begins to have her monthly blood. And this comes with pain, physical pain, not just like an emotional, mental thing. This is physical pain. And it starts a cycle for her monthly, her moon phases, where she is growing and expanding and active and fertile. And then she comes back to the earth where she can be calm and quiet and giving back to the earth through her cycles. It's an up and a down. It's a full moon and it's a crescent moon phase that she naturally goes through. But if you are in a male body on this earth, you do not do that. You go through puberty, but you don't actually go through the physical pains and the cycles of your femininity. And as a man, you do have femininity. We are masculine and feminine, both on both sides. So when a young man goes through a rite of passage, usually this includes a very arduous type of journey and testing of their physical strength that they have to be able to pass in order to be called a man. This usually includes pain, fear, all kinds of things that really test the soul of that person. Sometimes this includes them going out into the woods for long periods of time, days at a time, with no food or water, and having to face their fears and fight for their life and learn to survive. And you can see here that that's a learning experience, that they have to decide they're worth living and fight for their lives. And then they kind of take action through that and get to a powerful space where they're like, man, I've made it through 3 days in the wilderness, and I lived without eating poisonous berries, and I survived the storms and the elements, and I killed a bobcat and skinned it by myself, and I created a fire and cooked it, and now I have a bobcat fur to keep me warm. And they have created something big. There are some cultures where they spend 40 days going through a rite of passage, where they are actually using their energy to build something big, like building bridges, walls, houses. They're going through huge projects that test their limits, that test their physical strength, that test their mental capability to keep going, to be consistent, to push for the end goal. And there are some cultures where they tattoo or pierce or do painful things to the physical body that those people have to push themselves through until they're on the other side. And we're going to come back to rite of passage, because there is something that my advanced students have to do in order to go through their own rite of passage, and it's called the 40-day challenge. And so we'll come back to that if you decide that you would like to do a 40-day challenge to spiritually test yourself, strengthen yourself, and push yourself into the next level. The difference between an awakening and initiation is that an awakening is not always something you can control. Sometimes we are completely ignorant. We have no idea that we are unaware of certain things until the moment that we are. And an awakening is such a simple and beautiful process. You might remember the very first time you realized that spirituality was even a thing, whereas before that you were just kind of going through your life on a very physical level. The awakening quite often could be the first time that you decide to take on a spiritual course or use a spiritual gift of yours. And it's something that's so beautiful during your awakening because everything looks different. It's like you've been seeing in black and white all of your life, and now suddenly there's rainbows and colors, and everything is just different and gorgeous and exciting. That's an awakening. That's an awareness. That's having the wool removed from your eyes and seeing the beautiful, mystical things that are actually there that we don't look at all the time. But most of the time, you don't actually have any power over how or when that happens. It's just something that comes in time, that comes with experience, or that comes whenever it was preordained to come. An initiation can come with time and when it's preordained to come, but initiations also can come because you've decided it's time, because you've made the decision to step out of the testing phase and you've made a decision of your worth. We create our own initiations all the time. Sometimes it is because it's just time. I'm 16 years old now, so I'm having a sweet 16 party. I'm having a quinceañera right now. I am having my sweet 18 party. I don't know if that's a thing, sweet 18. But time, stuff. But we get to pick our own initiations too. We pick our initiations into marriage when we're ready for that. We pick our initiations into motherhood or parenthood when we're ready for that. So you can choose your own initiation times also. And you can do that through, you might already find that you are in the middle of a testing phase where you have been in a cycle of being hit over and over and over again, and you're tired of it. You're tired of being angry. You're tired of being sad. You're tired of having to repeat the same cycles and learn the same things. And you're ready to make your decision of worth. You are choosing, this is my initiation. And once we make this decision of worth, a lot of things begin to happen. So this is kind of a free will yet action space. Once you make your decision of worth, this might be where you reach out to someone else and start having healing work done. This might be where you're digging deep into your healing work and really pulling things up. Really what's happening when you create a decision of worth is that you are choosing to overcome and face first, and then overcome all of your fears, all of your fears, all of your fears, all of your fears. I'm going to say it again, facing all of your fears. You don't get to decide that you have worth until you've faced your fears. You know why? Because until you face your fears, they are pushed down, rejected, abandoned, suppressed inside of your body. And anything that is suppressed, pushed down, rejected, or abandoned will continue to pull you down with it. Therefore, there will always be a part of you that feels a hole, that feels neglected, that feels abandoned, because you are not facing your fears. Now, I'm not saying you have to go jump off a bridge or anything crazy like that. Most of the time, these fears are not even logical things a lot of the time. They're just things that we think about from time to time and then not allow ourselves to really look at. So this might be where I fear I am just like my dad. I fear that I will lose my husband. I fear that I will die in a car accident if I learn to drive. I fear that if I allow myself to do this thing that I will lose control. I fear that if I put myself in this situation, I will not succeed. I fear failure. I fear rejection. I fear that if I reach out to this person, they will not love me. They will not accept me. They will not do the thing I want. There are so many fears out there, big and small, physical and emotional, and these are things that we really have to look at and understand about ourselves. We have to understand why that's actually even a fear in our minds. Because a lot of the time we don't have a fear in our mind unless there's a past experience that our subconscious is linking it to. I actually do not have fear of falling out of a tree. I'm not scared of birds or trees or anything like that. This is just a random example. But that's because I've never fallen out of a tree. And I've never had a negative experience with a bird. I love birds. I'm part avian. But I do have an irrational fear of being kidnapped and put into somebody's trunk. Okay? I'm getting real vulnerable here. And so a lot of the time, when I'm driving down the road, I find myself memorizing the license plate of the person's car in front of me, just in case I happen to see on the news somewhere that someone was kidnapped in that kind of car. And then I'll know, oh, at this time on this day with this license plate, I saw that car and I can help that person. Random fear, random thing to be afraid of. But I can keep pushing it back and never really know where it came from, or I can face that fear and say, where is this coming from? And if I face that fear and see where it's coming from, I can see that it's probably linked to that 2-year abusive relationship that I had as a teenager, where I thought that I was going to die, or I was going to be abandoned, or nobody would ever find me. And then that's what I need to work through. And once I work through that, I might find that I actually even have past lives of being kidnapped or never found or gone missing and things like that. So we can really dig into those spaces. And every time that we do that, we're pushing through fear. And every time we push through fear, we're getting a piece of our power back, and a piece of our power back, and a piece of our power back. And if you know me, you know that fear is the opposite of love. So every time we're pushing through fear and we're getting our power, we're getting more love. We're getting more pieces of our heart. We're getting more pieces of our soul. And we are becoming more and more powerful, meaning more and more love. Your personal power is love. Love, love, love. Power does not mean I can destroy everything. That's not power. That is domination, and that is taking fear and projecting it at other people. We don't need to control things in order to be powerful. Power is your love. It's what you are as a frequency. So when we claim our power, we're simply pushing through fear and claiming our love, coming more and more into our love. And this is creating our initiation. And once we have gone through these things, we have been initiated into the next level. This is a leveling up. This is where we are now a completely different frequency than we were before. There's absolutely no going back. There's absolutely no unawakening. There's absolutely no uninitiating. We cannot go back to being the exact same person that we were before because we're a completely different frequency than we were. Now, we just get to grow within that space until we have outgrown that frequency and we have another initiation into the next one. Kind of how I see this leveling up thing is if you have a cup of a certain size and you keep filling that cup and filling that cup. When the cup is full, you have no choice but to get a larger cup. I mean, I suppose you could stay the same size and just keep overflowing and having to refill yourself, but most of the time we're going to choose to go through this initiation process into the next cup that's bigger. Now, when we take the amount of liquid that was in the first cup we had and we pour it into a bigger cup, it might feel like we're empty, because what looked full to a smaller cup looks less full in a larger cup. Bear with me. So now that we have a larger cup and we're less full, sometimes the leveling up after initiation feels small. We have gone through all this stuff, we've gotten all this power, we've leveled up, and now suddenly we just feel small. We feel again at the bottom, like we don't know anything. And that's simply because we have a larger cup to fill now. And that means we can take on more learning. We can do more, we can receive more, and become more. I don't have but one cup in here, and that's this really, really big one that someone I love gave me. But if your cup was this big and you poured it into this cup, it would only be this full. Meaning that you have so much room to receive. How exciting is that? But instead, you're back here at this space again, your presentation of the test, where you're like, oh, I'm so empty and I don't have any water and I'm such a victim and I don't know anything and everybody hates me. Okay, great. Now keep being filled. Keep learning from those tests. Keep learning from your experiences. Keep expanding. Keep growing until you decide that you're worth filling that cup up for. And we can go through the initiation process again. Gatekeeping. During the initiation process, that's going from a smaller cup to a bigger cup. What gatekeeper is standing there? What guide is allowing and helping this transition process to happen? Let's look into this for a minute. Journey time! Close your eyes, please. Get yourself into a comfortable position. Take those deep breaths. Relax all of the muscles in your body. And I want you just there in your vision, behind your eyelids, releasing everything in your physical body, coming just to a spiritual space. I want you to allow yourself to see your life laid out like a black and white timeline. Just a line that's marked with your different ages. Let this come however it comes for you. And this is grayscale, black and white. Now you're going to tell this scale of age, this timeline, to only show you the moments of initiation in your life. And just watch as certain ages begin to stand out. You don't have to know the memory, you don't have to know what happened. Just watch as everything kind of fades back, except for the ages where you went through initiations. There might only be one, there might be many. And if you're watching this right now, there's not gonna be none. Even if you are in your initiation phase right now, there will be at least one. Just allow that to happen. Don't overthink it, but don't doubt it. Completely release all attachment to thought. Relax in. Now, if you want to take a moment to go further into those ages, to see those exact memories, okay, we're seeing where our initiations happened. Now we can dive into those ages, into those initiations, and remember the moments or the things that were happening. And these don't have to be exact, meaning there might not be one little thing that happened that was your initiation. It might be a time period or just the age of your life and a number of things that happened over the course of that year that constitutes your initiation. But allow yourself to look a little bit deeper into that, just for a moment. And once you look into that memory or that thing, that initiatory phase, I want you to ask, and who is the gatekeeper here? Who was the one pulling me and urging me out of my small cup and into my big cup, from one phase of my life to the next? This could be a spiritual guide, it could be an archetype, it could be a physical person who was with you at that time. Just watch and let yourself know or hear or see who was the gatekeeper, who was the guide pulling you through your initiation, helping you, guiding you through. Your gatekeeper could also be a concept to you or simply a vibration to you. The thing that really made you want to overcome. This could be the fear. This could be anything that made you want to overcome it and put yourself in a different space. Let this come to you however it comes to you. There's no right or wrong. Your gatekeeper at that time could look like something that was trying to keep you out, something that you had to earn your way through. Someone who tested your intention so that you could only pass through when you had pure intention, when you had a decision of worth. And now, there in your vision, as I send you some loving crystal energy of wisdom and peace, I want you to allow yourself to see in this moment right now, what is the one thing that needs to purge from your body in order for you to go through your next initiation. Just let yourself see or know this thing, the one thing that you really need to purge from your body to go through the next leveling up. Now allow yourself to see, feel, or know the one thing that you need to learn or that you want to refill yourself with. This could be a modality or simply a concept. And now allow yourself to see, feel, or know the one thing that you want to create, what you'd like to birth into this earth. A project to take on, something that you just want to create here in a very logical way. If your guides are showing you a very large concept such as peace on earth, ask them, what is the one thing you can do, a step to take? What can you physically create that will aid that in happening? Take your time. And when you feel like you've gotten the information that you've journeyed to receive, slowly bring yourself back to your body. You can take a few notes if you need to pause this, journal if you want to. But essentially what you have just allowed yourself to witness in your life, your processes of initiation, when they took place in your life, what the gatekeepers were, whether they were things that kept you out until you were able to prove your intentions were pure and prove that you had a sense of worth, or whether they were guides that helped urge you and pull you in. You met your gatekeepers in those particular times of your life. You've seen your initiatory phases and ages from the past, and you have many more in the future. And you've also created your 40-day challenge rite of passage. Every day, for 40 days, you will sustain from the thing that you were shown you needed to purge. So this could be something very physical, like sugar or alcohol, or it could have been something more of a concept, such as fear or judgment. And every day for 40 days, you will refill yourself with something. So if you saw yourself learning a new modality, every day for 40 days, you will do something towards the learning of that modality, whether it's reading a book, taking a course, practicing, whatever it is that you're wanting to refill yourself with. You are going to spend every day for 40 days filling yourself with that thing. And then every day for 40 days, you are going to start creating your thing that you wanted to birth here on the earth. So this is usually a big project or a passion project. For some people, this looks like building something, woodworking, knitting something, painting the house. I had one person paint the inside of their home. Me personally, when I went through this 40-day challenge last year, because I try to do this every so often, this resulted in me creating a 13-month course. So Every day for 40 days, you're going to do 3 things every day for 40 days during your rite of passage 40-day challenge. You're going to purge, you're going to refill, and you're going to birth every day for 40 days. That means giving up the thing that you wanted to give up, sustaining from that for 40 days. That means whatever one thing you wanted to learn, you're going to do something towards the learning of that every day for 40 days. And whatever thing you wanted to create, you are going to do something towards that creation every day for 40 days without fail. Now, with my students, I tell them that if they miss a single day, if they miss one of these 3 things at all during that 40-day period, that they have to start over, completely over. I'll be more lenient here. It's just a 40-day challenge. And if you choose to do it, if you make the decision that you're worth doing it, that will bring you into the action of actually doing it. And the more you push through, the more you're claiming your power. Every single day that you don't give up, every single day that you keep pushing, every single day that you push yourself to do all 3 of these things, to purge, to refill yourself, and to birth, you are reclaiming your power. Claiming power, you are creating more love within yourself, and you are bringing yourself into the space of initiation. Now, all 3 of these things are important to do, because anytime we purge, remember, we're making room for more things to be added in. And we don't want to get stuck in any one cycle. We don't want to just be purging, and then not refilling with anything, because we'll feel empty. And we don't want to fill without purging anything, because we'll run out of room. We won't have any place to put what we're filling ourselves with. And we don't want to just create either, because we'll run out of energy. We're going to deplete everything that we have, and eventually we won't have any energy within which to create with. It's a process of all 3. We have to purge the things that are holding us back. We have to refill with things that help us move towards our goals. And we have to actively take action to create the things that we want to create here on earth. So, 40-day challenge. This was your initiation. An initiation marks the beginning of who you are becoming. We talked about gatekeepers, and compare that to the awakening. You also got a little bit of energy from this beautiful heart-shaped crystal. It's an amethyst, and I got this from Allison, the stone spirit. She was very nice and gave this to me, and I love it. I had a very beautiful journey with it that was like some sort of light code awakening. It was crazy, because as soon as I came out of it, it was amazing, and as soon as I came out of that journey, I couldn't even remember what had happened. Like instantly forgotten, lost in the ethers of my soul. But this energy wanted to come out today while we were talking about all of this stuff. And I personally saw a stagged spirit. So a lot of the time I see this horned man who comes forward, and there's a lot of energy with that. So that's who I saw coming forward today. Now, the deck I'm going to read a little passage from before I tie things up is the Shaman's Oracle deck, the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck by Alberto Vialdo and Colette Baron-Reed. And they are 2 of my absolute favorite people when it comes to these decks. And I just want to read you the card, The Crossing, because this is the initiation card. And just the fact that he has this card in this deck is amazing enough, because this is really something that's important to talk about. People need to know what their initiations are, what leveling up is, what it means to actually change from one frequency to another within the same incarnation without having to die physically and come back. You are dying through initiation, and that's why we don't get stuck at this presentation of the test. We allow ourselves to face that fear, decide we're worth facing that fear, that we're worth claiming our power, that it's okay to spiritually die because we're worth dying for, and moving through these cycles. So Alberto has to say about initiation or the crossing. You have come to stand on one side of the river. The opposite bank leads into the darkness of the eternal cave, where the old dies and then is born again. This is a place where time is forgotten, and the seasons cease their dance and stand still, as if in a temporary repose. You must cross the river now, honoring and respecting this transition, for it's time to say goodbye to your old ways of navigating your world. Don't be afraid. You've come to the edge of the river because you're ready. You're ready to let go of what doesn't serve you in all the ways in which you've kept yourself from truly living. Intimacy requires vulnerability and truth. Can you strip away the masks and the barriers of false strength to discover what you're really made of? Step in the boat that's waiting for you. Let it carry you into the cave where the shadows are waiting to be illuminated so you can be born again into the world without denial or artifice. Making the crossing is a beautiful, powerful act of the highest love. If you have any questions about initiation, or if there's anything else that you want to hear about, any other topics you'd like to discuss, just drop a comment and let me know. It was great talking with you guys today.